perhaps we should start, Dinesh.
Sure, Hari.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Winfo Solutions webinar on how to simplify finance with Oracle skilled robots. My name is Hari Setlapati, and I'm a managing director at Winfo Solutions. Today's webinar format will be a presentation from Dinesh Kanuga and I, and we'll fully introduce ourselves in a minute, on how to add Oracle skilled digital assistants or robots to your team and accelerate your digital journey with minimal effort. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the webinar. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to attend. We do appreciate you finding a slot for us in your schedule today, and I'm sure you'll find today's session very enjoyable. I'd like to quickly run through a few housekeeping points to ensure that everything will run smoothly today, to confirm with everyone that the webinar is being recorded, and by attending, you are providing your consent to that. All of you will have your microphones muted, and attendees are not able to see each other. From our side, you'll be able to see both Dinesh and I during the session. In terms of the actual structure, after the opening remarks, context setting, and introduction, in the first 5 minutes or so, we move on to the main content, which is a presentation around the main topic on how to simplify finance with Oracle skilled robots. This will be followed by a couple of videos and a live demo of our solution as well. The whole presentation approximately will last around 40 minutes, and there will be a chance at the end for some richer engagement in Q&A session, and we should have around 15 minutes for that. There is a chat facility which you can use by clicking on the chat icon at the bottom of the screen. You can use this to send comments or questions to both Dinesh and I at any point in time. Your comments will be read by an administrator, and questions will be directed in real time to both of us, or saved until the Q&A session at the end. There could be some specific questions which you may not want to raise in the full webinar. These can be sent to us at sales@winfosolutions.com. That's sales@winfosolutions.com. The duration of the webinar is 1 hour, but I promise that we'll finish just before 4 o'clock to enable you to move on to your next commitments. And we'll, of course, be sending the link to the recording to all the attendees soon after the webinar has ended. Okay, now, before we go into the presentation and the actual content, let's do some introductions. Dinesh, if you can start by introducing yourself, please.
Certainly. Thanks, Hari. Once again, a warm welcome to today's webinar. My name is Dinesh. I'm a director at Winfo Solutions. I have over 20 years of professional consulting experience. I'm a qualified accountant, and I specialize in large-scale end-to-end ERP transformation programs underpinned by Oracle ERP, both e-business suite and Oracle ERP Cloud. As part of finance transformation over the last 7 to 8 years, I'm increasingly seeing influx of automation opportunities and have been assisting clients on their automation journey. I will be offering insights today based on my role as a delivery lead and solution architects across various programs. That's all from me.
Thank you, Dinesh. And I'll briefly introduce myself as well now. I'm a managing director in Winfo Solutions. My profile is actually very similar to that of Dinesh. In fact, we started our careers together in consulting. I've spent a large part of the last 20 years in professional consulting as well. I'm a qualified accountant, and I specialize in large-scale end-to-end ERP transformation projects underpinned by Oracle ERP, both on-premise, e-business suite, and also cloud applications. During my implementations as well, I've been involved in advising clients on process improvements, and I know firsthand how important it is for businesses to stay ahead of its competition. And I work closely with clients on continuous innovation and getting the maximum out of their investments in Oracle. I've been involved in implementing automation solution in Oracle ERP since 2015 onwards. So that's a little bit about me. So that's introductions done. So perhaps what I suggest, Dinesh, is let's get started into the content of today's webinar. And if you can perhaps put up the slides, and we can use them to anchor the discussion today. This is great. You can see your slides, so perfect. Right. Okay. So this is the agenda that we hope to cover today. We've done the introductions, and I have one slide to talk to you about who we are and describe us. This is also to highlight our experience in Oracle finance and automations, and why we are best placed to accelerate your automation journey in finance on your Oracle ERP platform. Post that, I'll spend a few minutes talking about automations in finance and why it is so important. I mean, it's no longer a good to have for businesses. It's become a really a necessity now. Dinesh will then bring to life again some of the challenges our clients have faced when they did try to embark upon this journey. Actually, we feel this was the turning point for us, and these were real challenges that clients on the ground faced. And this, in fact, led us to WinBot. And during the demo, you will see in action on how we have addressed these concerns in our solution. Post that, we move on to the actual overview of the product, and Dinesh will play a couple of videos to give you an overview of the solution, and then followed by a product demo, which will give you all a look and feel of the product and how easy it is to use for finance teams. So that's the agenda that we hope to cover today. Right, Dinesh, if you can move to the next slide, please. Okay, just a very brief introduction about our service offerings and expertise. The Winfo leadership team have many years of experience in successfully delivering ERP transformation projects. We also have a large focus on automation and analytics. The combination of our in-depth Oracle ERP knowledge and automation really sets us apart in being able to provide niche and innovative solutions to Oracle ERP customers. If you move to the next slide, Dinesh, this drills down our experience a little bit further. In one sentence, we are Oracle experts. The 600 years of experience quoted on this slide is not exaggerated at all. Our leadership teams each have at least 20 plus years of experience in large scale Oracle ERP transformation projects. And we are accountants. Dinesh and I are chartered accountants. And in fact, all our functional team have an accounting degree. We feel this is very important qualification to have for the services that we provide to clients. This also makes us experts in finance, and our motto working with clients is very simple. We simplify finance, and all our solutions are aimed at one thing: to make finance teams' life easier. And in today's, this theme will follow throughout the webinar. We'll all be about how to simplify finance and make your lives easier. And you'll see a glimpse of that in our solutions as well today. Okay, with that introduction, maybe we can move on to the crux of the today's session. And Dinesh, if you move a slide, please. Before we talk about anything, what is finance automation, right? And to put it very, very simply, it's the use of technology to automate key finance jobs with minimal or absolute no human intervention. Like automation in any journey, it allows finance to get things done faster and, more importantly, more accurately as well. But while automation, organizations like some of you on the webinar today who are already Oracle customers have made big investments into ERP, or some of you are planning to do so as well. This helps enable growth and makes the organization's high-performing businesses. Now, as part of the implementations, most organizations would have streamlined their business processes, established shared service centers to carry out transactional elements, etc. Right? But however, is this enough? I mean, to thrive in this competitive landscape, finance professionals need to do more. They need to play a role of a crucial strategic business partner rather than just doing time-intensive, repetitive, manual accounting tasks. We get asked many times, right, in our discussion with clients, is finance automation replacing finance professionals? The answer is absolutely no. It empowers finance teams to unlock their potential. I mean, finance is not just about crunching numbers. I mean, it gives the professionals time to focus on more strategies to expedite business growth. Let me give you a simple example to, kind of make this a little bit clearer, right? Did you know that there are over 20,000 manual tasks in R2R alone each month? I mean, that's each month. Finance professionals in the R2R team, accountants and things like that have 20,000 every single month, repetitive every month. And according to a Gartner report, automation in finance teams can actually save approximately 30% of a full-time employee stays. I mean, look at getting 30% of your time back every single day. And then look at the numbers on the screen as well. And these have been gathered from various studies of automation benefits in finance. And as you can see, there are some really big savings there. Finance automation can save your team countless hours of wasted energy, right? And over and beyond that, automation provides a clearer insight into fiscal status as well. I mean, it provides a 360-degree view of financial status. Managements can now make more informed business decisions based on data insights, etc. There's improved accuracy as well with real-time data integration. There is no need to wait for background processes to be submitted. All this is real-time now. Secure file storage, all documents are stored with full audit trail. And all this sounds great, isn't it? I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? In fact, a Gartner's research reveals that approximately 80% of CFOs and finance leaders have either implemented or planning to implement automation for their finance functions. It's all sounds, it's great, and people are trying it. Then the question comes, why is the adoption so slow, right? And for those who have implemented it, why are they really not recognizing or realizing the benefits fully, right? And that's a big question that people have. I mean, Dinesh, you and I have spent, lots of time with clients on this very topic, right? Where they've been talking to us about some challenges, especially where, they have not been successful. Perhaps you can elaborate on some of those, on what our clients have told us.
Thanks, Hari. Certainly. Uh, while based on your slide, actually, as such, the business case for automation in order to simplify finance is quite evident. However, there are some challenges which are faced by organizations when they try to implement automation across their organization. Just to be clear, these are real life examples which we have gathered and collected from our customers as such. So if a quote from a senior finance director from a clinical trial company with whom we have been working for the last 4 to 5 years on different projects, and the comment around the automation is, how do I know what robots are doing in the background? Which goes hand in hand with one another comment as well, is that without a user interface, these robots seems to be working in the background, but they sound like a sophisticated macro rather than a user interface to interact and deal with them from a finance community point of view. A program director from a large UK-based construction company's comment was that, how can I launch robots across my all finance processes? So take R2R, order to cash, procure to pay, projects accounting, HR. How do I launch robots across all spectrum of business applications which they support actually as such? And last but not the least is from CFO quote from CFO from a UK media company is to ask, are there no out-of-the-box solutions from an automation perspective as such? Do we need to consider an automation as a proper consulting kind of an assignment, which leads to a discovery, followed by a proof of concept or a prototype, and then obviously rolling out the solution in a smaller chunks as such? Does it need to be a standard implementation project which has a waterfall mechanism, or is there any automation out-of-box solutions as such? Now, these challenges are what actually led us to think a little deeper and identify if the currently available automation tools in the market provide an answer. Very quickly, we found out the fact that the automation tools by themselves do not give a straightforward answer, and there is need for an overall automation solution to simplify finance. Now, these concerns are barriers or challenges, however you look at it, are which our clients faced in embracing automation is what led us to build something which facilitates adoption of automation tools. We call it as a WinBot. We will introduce WinBot in a couple of slides as such. But before we go ahead, Hari, why don't you describe 5 pillars which is what WinBot is based on?
Okay, great. Thank you, Dinesh. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, in spite of all the benefits that automation and robots bring, they are by themselves not the answer, and that they needed to be more, right? So yes, if you go to the next slide, maybe I will focus on the 5 pillars, right? As Dinesh just said, the foundation of WinBot is really based on the challenges that Dinesh and called out from our clients, and so we have based our solution on these 5 pillars. The first being 360-degree visibility. Give the business users full insight from a single place. They just need one place where they log in. That brings us to number 2 as well, which is a command center. And you'll hear the word command center throughout, right? Think of command center like a cockpit in a plane, right? It's one dashboard where you have everything in one place. right? That's a command center, and that allows business users to navigate and collaborate with robots from a single place. So it's a business solution and not an IT solution with something running in the background, and where business users don't have any visibility. The solution allows integration to multiple applications. And this was again a requirement that came up where, for some of the end-to-end processes that was required. And we've incorporated the ability to put input, cognitive input in between processes. I mean, where processes can be fully automated, great, that's possible too. But there are certain processes where a human intervention is required, and we've allowed for that particular cognitive input as well as a configurable task. Finally, the faster ROI. This is where our clients are asking, how do I get more on my return? And to do that, we have pre-built many of these processes already within WinBot, i.e., if you're an Oracle user, you can really literally drag and drop some of our solutions into your environment. Maybe here, perhaps Dinesh, you can probably give run a quick video that gives an overview of WinBot.
Certainly, Hari.
For businesses to stay ahead of the competition, continuous innovation is necessary. Finance is a great example where automation fits well. From our experience, automation can improve efficiencies up to 73% while reducing costs and improving productivity by 69%. It is vital to know what to automate and what not to. As the saying goes, knowing is half the battle. Finance back-office processes have several repetitive and predictable tasks that do not depend on human judgment and requires users to follow a predefined checklist or series of steps. Winfo's WinBot, an Oracle-skilled robot, will simplify your finance processes. These Oracle-skilled robots give your finance team a self-contained command center to control the processes and collaborate with the robots. Winfo team of qualified accountants and experts in implementing Oracle ERP over 20 years of experience have built the WinBot. WinBot contains predefined end-to-end solutions covering various finance business areas across record to report, order to cash, procure to pay and projects accounting. WinBot's command centers will allow global process owners to review and monitor the flow of information and actions facilitated by Oracle-skilled robots. It is modular and process-driven to support the finance processes. For example, within R2R, you have journal creation, budget and forecasting, period close assistant, etc., from where process owners can collaborate and launch the robots. WinBot has inbuilt AI capabilities and allows a natural break of processes to facilitate cognitive input to support governance and control. For example, the robots wait for the approval where approvals are required to be complete before progressing on the next steps. WinBot has role-based access controls to ensure segregation of duties and SOX compliance. WinBot allows businesses to launch the process across any business area, provides complete visibility of the process, and allows you to track every step with an entire audit trail. Let's see how simple it is to submit the process. Joe is an accountant in ABC Corporation, and he is responsible for month-end processing within the finance team. Joe logs into Winfo's WinBot, which shows him all the finance process areas, and he navigates to the record to report area. He guides further to period close assistant. He launches the period close activity and initiates the AP period for a specific ledger. The processes are then kickstarted and run in the background. While the robots logs into the application and starts performing the tasks, Joe can continue doing other business critical activities yet has complete visibility on the step-by-step process to keep track of the process. The robots will email Joe confirming all period end steps are complete and the required reports outputs available for the business's review. WinBot is a one-stop solution for all your Oracle finance automation needs, which helps you to simplify finance within your organization.
Thanks, Hari. So just to put a little bit more context around what WinBot is the wrap around automation tools, which provides a command center and a cockpit-based solution for business process owners to review and monitor flow of information and actions facilitated by automation. It's completely modular and it has a process-driven user interface to support back office processes. Now, based on our accounting and finance experience, we have predefined and packaged solutions across different finance processes to ensure quicker adoption of automation to simplify finance with Oracle skilled robots. We have carefully selected these particular processes where there is genuinely a gap whether we take Oracle e-business suite or Oracle ERP, we've found that there was genuinely a gap and have tried to plug in those particular gaps by our automation tools and solutions such as period close assistant, vendor management, cash receipts processing, project creation, etc. So with that, I think I will probably do a couple of demonstrations for you to have a further look into WinBot and how does it work. Do you have anything else to add, Hari, over here?
No, and then nothing more. That I mean, as I said, it's I'm just actually looking at one particular question that's come up here. Maybe this is a good place as well, right? As we said, from your experience, which portion of finance processes gives the big bang for bucks? Can you say can you share some recent experiences? And I think, Dinesh, as you can see, some of the processes that we've chosen here are all processes that, gives you real value for, your investments. For example, the period and close, which you just said, right? And
Yeah.
there are as well. So maybe on that note,
If I were to give an example on period close, actually, as such, when we speak about which process gives the maximum benefit, there are all these particular processes which we have selected definitely have create the values in each one of them. But let me set up some context around period close, actually, since you rightly called out period close as an example. As finance professionals, most of us who work either with the finance teams would know that how critical period and period close process is, which pretty much brings the whole accounting operations into standstill. And it requires rigorously following a month-end checklist from gathering data to closing accounting ledgers, to closing the accounting ledgers, generating various statutory or management or internal reportings, as well as then analyzing the reports. Now, typically, this takes somewhere between workday 6 or for an average organization to close their accounting records and day 12 to generate the reports which can then be published out for analysis, external analysis and internal analysis as such. Now, quite often, the teams who are part of these particular period close are quite under duress and a lot of stress around this particular process to make things happen, working long hours within these particular timelines as such. However, when you look at world-class organizations, they try to perform the same set of tasks over a much smaller time frame, day 2 to close the accounting ledgers and day 6 to generate these particular reports. Now, based on our understanding of period close activities across various organizations, we have come up with a period close assistant, and the objective was very clear from start as such, not just to meet the world-class organizations, but somehow to also beat the world-class organizations and do period close in a much simpler and a simpler way, actually, as such. So let me take you through system at this particular point of time. I'll stop my sharing and I will share my screen again. Let me know if you're able to see my screen again.
Yes, Dinesh.
Yeah, so I log into WinBot application using the credentials, which is completely makes it secure. And this is the command center in the cockpit, which we spoke about. We see various business functional areas: procure-to-pay, order-to-cash, projects accounting, record-to-report, all underneath it. I'm interested in period end, so I'm going to navigate further under record-to-report process area, and which gives me a whole series of another robots which are defined with respect to journal creation, budgeting and forecasting, bank statement reconciliations, intercompany reconciliations, etc., and the period close assistant. I'm interested in period close assistant. Now, if I was working in the finance department and if I wanted to close the accounting ledgers for a specific month, all I would do is launch the period close activity, select a specific ledger to which I would like to close the accounting ledgers, and specify the period for which I would like to close the accounting ledgers. And only place where there is an exception which is required to be dealt with from a period close checklist as such is accounting period for payables, whether you would like to sweep the existing transactions or review the existing transactions. For example, if I decide to sweep and submit, that's it. All you do is few clicks, submit the process. The process runs in the background. The WinBot will run in the background, complete all the specific steps, and close the accounting period. Let me show you. I just ran a process little earlier in the day. Let me show you how the period close monitor looks like. So this is a nice little graphic which tells me the fact that the AP period close has now been done. When I click on the AP period close, it gives me further series of steps which has performed. It's in terms of whether it's opening the next accounting periods, running the prerequisite programs related to invoice validation, create accounting, transferring journal entries to general ledger, running the reconciliation reports actually as such, which will all the steps which will have been performed by manual user actually as such, and then obviously going ahead and closing the AP ledger. Now, the beauty of this particular period close assistant is that it not just runs all the programs, but it also does something more, which is it reconciles the balances and provides the accountants a complete overview of the fact that, yes, I have done the reconciliation. These are the liability accounts. These are the balances which has been gathered across various reports. And then it tells us, is there any specific variance? Yes or no. So it not just works as a monolithic or a programmed kind of a robot as such. It's got the AI inbuilt in as well. If the balances are reconciled, then it closes the accounting ledgers. And if the balances are not reconciled, then it waits for further instructions of what needs to be done. That's where we spoke about cognitive input to be input is built as well. In fact, it not just does that. Let me show you something more. It, after closing the period, Hari, it also sends an email back to the accountants to say the fact that the period has been closed. It sends a summary of all the reports which it has run for the month end and ensures that the reconciliation summary is sent, stores all the month-end reconciliation reports in a dedicated project SharePoint or a dedicated finance team SharePoint as well for future reference and auditability perspective. So completely, it maintains end-to-end trail of all steps which are performed from not just from an automation perspective, but from the entire solution perspective as such. Hari, I know you had a very recent experience of using the period close assistant to one of our clients as such. Why don't you give a little bit overview about it?
Absolutely. It's a really good demo. Thanks, Tej. I mean, finance period close is such a great example where automation can bring real value. I mean, in this context, as Dinesh just mentioned, one of our customers have recently gone live with finance close, and it has made the R2R teams like so much easier. This particular client had over 100 business units, and their FA close, it was in particular a big time consuming exercise. They had over 50 fixed assets books, and they had to run at least a dozen reports, both within e-business suite, but also in the business intelligence system. And they had to do it twice, once in the draft mode for the team to confirm, and then in the final mode as well. And to make things worse, all this activity had to be done over the weekend because they closed their books on a Friday. But now with WinBot, it takes approximately, I think, 6 hours, and with absolutely no human or little human intervention. This has not only saved them 2 days, but also the precious weekend time as well. So this is a really great example, and it's also a real life example where our client is able to derive real value out of automation. Dinesh.
Yeah, thanks, Hari. With that, I would like to move to the next process, which is related to customer receipts actually as such. Before, once again, I go into and run a small video describing this particular functionality. Let me describe customer cash receipts processing as such. In many organizations where which deal with large volume of customers and the customer receipts as such, this is one of the other process which is quite labor intensive. And it requires AR team to gather information from multiple different sources as such. Sometimes bank statement becomes the first point of view of receipts. They look into the various emails which have the remittance advices generated from the customers, and then try to record these particular receipts into the system as such. Many a times there is a need for registering these particular receipts, then reversing some of these particular receipts because the information was not clear previously, the customer details were not correctly understood, and doing multiple times the processing of receipts as such. Now, once again, we decided to build a specific robot, a WinBot, which is a purpose-built automation to simplify how receipts can be processed automatically. Let's see a quick video about it.
Let's understand how cash receipt flow works. Entering and matching customer payments to outstanding invoices and managing exceptions accurately is a very labor-intensive process. So, WinBot Cash Assistant uses payment information from various sources to first enter the receipt and recommends the best potential matches for exceptions. The robot picks up bank statements from secure repository and remittance advice from email, then extracts and retrieves the data from them. AR clerk can review, edit and provide approvals from the command center to allow the robot to progress on automation and send a mail with the status. Now let's see how WinBot executes. WinBot receives information for cash receipts from bank statement along with remittance advice from customer through email. AR Cash Receipts Clerk logs to WinBot application to see all the finance functional areas. He navigates to Cash Receipts Management under Order to Cash. Cash Receipts dashboard shows all the information processed by WinBot, showing status of newly processed receipts. WinBot also sends an email to AR Cash Receipts Clerk about newly processed receipts. AR Cash Receipts Clerk reviews the cash receipts which are pending and needs action. He provides required information to process receipts. WinBot has also associated the remittance advice to receipt. WinBot provides a mechanism to correct receipt information in case of any errors. Once information is reviewed, all the receipts would be under pending registration. AR Cash Receipts Clerk initiates the robot. WinBot logins to Oracle ERP Cloud and registers each of the 3 receipts in a sequential manner based on all the information which has been extracted and entered in WinBot application. It maintains a complete audit trail of all the actions that are performed in Oracle ERP Cloud. WinBot updates the status back in dashboard once receipts are registered in Oracle ERP Cloud and also sends an email on completion of steps. This completes the process for AR cash receipts.
Great. Thank you, Dinesh. That was it was quite brilliant, actually. And I think hopefully the product overview and the couple of videos that Dinesh actually showed, gave you a good look and feel on WinBot. But let's actually come back to the 5 pillars that we spoke about. As you can see, the solution truly puts your finance teams in complete control. I mean, they have full visibility at each step at any point in time. And where cognitive input is required, the products allow for natural breaks in process. And finally, most importantly, WinBot comes with pre-built processes for Oracle ERP built by Oracle experts, where we know that, where value can be derived, and that can be adopted very quickly to help realize the value of investments in Oracle. I mean, to conclude the presentation, I can only put it this way, right? If you are an Oracle user and you're looking to, hyper automate your environment and get the benefits of automation offers, and you really want to put your finance teams in control and enable them to become real business partners and not just number crunching numbers. But at the same time, you have concerns, the same concerns that we spoke about on some of our clients, etc. Then, as you saw today, WinBot is the solution for you, and it really puts your finance teams in control and help you really simplify finance and make your finance team lives easier. I think, with that, we will conclude the content presentation today. I know that there are questions coming through, right? And maybe we can spend some time on some of the questions. that coming through as well. If any of you, like I said, any of you who has any questions can use the chat button there and send in our questions, and which we will, which our administrators will send it to us. So please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so the first question, I think, going back to the the question that one of you asked in terms of RPA automation, and in your experience, what portion of finance processes gives you the real value? I think finance period close is clearly one of them that you saw. Receipts is another example that we wanted to present today. That really helped our customers overcome some of those problems. The other things that comes to my mind, where it was a really big value saver, was intercompany reconciliation. When I mean intercompany reconciliation, this is where this was an organization which had a lot of companies in Oracle, but also a lot of legal entities were outside of Oracle, and they were exchanging spreadsheets to consolidate their numbers at the end of each period. Here the robots were able to completely automate that particular area. The other key ones are vendor creation. That's another one that clients often like, where simplifies your whole vendor creation process. So there are a host of others that could help you with values that come as well. The other question that has come through is what about Oracle keeps releasing new versions of the version. Can WinBot handle and run seamlessly with these releases? The answer to that is yes. Obviously, we do offer releases, and the product keeps getting matured as well. But yes, we also offer the product as a SaaS-based solution as well. So we keep the product updated, and for people who are on premise, we make sure that we release those patches as well. So the answer to that is yes as well. Okay, some of the other questions that has come through is maybe Dinesh, you can take this question, right? So what technology is underpinning the robots? Can it be done? Is it an RPA tool, and can it be done in any RPA tool?
Certainly. There are two parts of this particular question, Hari, and maybe I'll answer both of them actually as such. Number one is that the tool by itself, the front end, the tool is being built on Oracle Apex. So any Oracle customer as such, whether you are on e-business suite or ERP cloud, definitely has the license to Apex, use the Apex. So that's how where the solution is built. The automations which you have demonstrated today, we have built them using UiPath as the automation tool, and that's where most of the processes which we have developed as well in terms of automation as such. But if you use a different automation tools as well, they should be easily be onboarded through our automation platform.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. And the next question also is a good one, right? So does the product work both on-premise EBS and cloud as well? Maybe
that's
Dinesh.
correct. It does. The period close which I demonstrated, and if you had seen the video in the background as well, it was working on Oracle EBS. And the cash receipts one, I showed the example, which was based on ERP cloud. So it seamlessly works across both EBS and ERP cloud, and it's something to be taken care as part of the implementation as such.
Okay, great. I think the next question is how long does it take to set up the bots in Oracle? Okay, maybe I can answer that question. I mean, as you saw, WinBot comes with many pre-built processes for Oracle, and if it is some of the processes that's also already pre-built, it's literally a drag and drop. You can be up and running in, I would say, 4 weeks at the most, and if it's a more complex process, maybe 6 weeks, and things like that. And in some cases, what has happened is there had to be some small tailoring that had been made based on customer specific environments. So those would be small tweaks rather than big things. So between 4 and 6 weeks, you can be up and running in WinBot and automating your environment. Okay, the next question I think is related here. Can you tailor WinBot to cater for customizations? Okay, maybe.
Certainly. So in many cases, if you take from a for period close assistant perspective, while the WinBot which I showed, the period close assistant was based on a set of standard reports, but I do realize that many organizations also have custom reports as well and perform certain additional steps as well. Those specific additional steps can be added in as part of a configuration and can be included as part of the automation as such.
Okay. Hopefully that answered that particular question. There's one more in terms of licensing. Actually, how does the licensing work? Okay, perhaps I can answer that question, Dinesh. So there are two or three ways that we offer the solution. One is a complete SaaS-based product, i.e., we own the infrastructure, we own the robots, and we deploy the robots on your application. So it will be like how you would log into an Oracle ERP cloud. You log in a similar to an application, launch it. It will be connected to your environment. It's completely secure, on very similar to Oracle ERP cloud on the cloud infrastructure. That's one model. There are certain clients who have asked it to be installed on premise, and that is possible too. For certain restrictions that we have, that's very much possible. So we would help with the installation, we would help with the initial implementation, and obviously we would help with ongoing support as well. So both options are possible, where and in some cases, actually there's a third option as well which came to my mind. In some cases where clients have already invested in, say, an RPA product, so they would have robots on their own, and we work with these clients as well, where the whole WinBot can be wrapped around the robots that the companies, that organization own, and we can use that as well. So there are various options to do that, from a licensing perspective. Okay, there are more questions coming up actually. We talked about. I think it's very similar to the customizations as well, Dinesh. If there is slight variations in process, how easy is it to adapt?
Yeah. So certainly, Hari, when we speak about the processes, for a simple enough process as such, you called out 4 weeks from an implementation perspective. Those particular, if the changes are or customizations requirements are quite simple enough, they can be accommodated within this particular 4 weeks as well. If it's a complex process and you need many more steps to be added, then we're looking at a time frame of 4 to 6 weeks to get them added onto the process and then deployed on from a solution perspective. So not a significant investment required, because the core of the process, the bulk of the process is already been built. If it's only making subtle changes to it, then we should be able to still handle it.
Fantastic. There's another question here. What are some of the lessons learned or best practices if we are planning to use your WinBots for finance automation? I think that's a good question, and I think the whole product itself is built based on lessons learned. To be very honest, these are clients that we've been working with for a very long time. Who have tried to embark upon their journey and use it. I think if I can talk about lessons learned, it's very important to know what to automate. I think that's the biggest lesson I would say that we should say, right? It's very important to know what to automate, but more importantly, it's important to know what not to automate, right? And in some cases, what has happened is, clients have engaged in certain use cases which haven't really given them the value, right? And I think, choosing the wrong process might actually backfire. And also knowing how much to automate as well, right? And how much to automate as well, which is where WinBot comes in, because if it's an Oracle environment, this has been built by our experts who've known Oracle for a number of years. So we've built the product knowing exactly where the gaps are, where automation would help add value and things like that, right? So I think the product has been built for based on some of the lessons learned as well. So, I would say there are two schools of thoughts. Start with an easy process and then, move on to the other process as well, or start with the process that gives you the maximum value. So those are some of the lessons learned, I would say from that perspective.
If I may add on to this, Hari, as well, is that the whole way WinBot is being structured and built is based on modular and a process driven as such. So you should ideally pick up a simple enough process to start with, which gives you the maximum return of investment in it. And the process is quite straightforward. You determine the fact that it's a repeatable process. It's structured in terms of how the process needs to work with. There is significant volume of data which needs to be processed through that particular process, and the process by themselves needs to be stable. So there is no point of bringing a broken process in from an automation perspective. If the process is stable, takes away effort and energy from the finance teams as such, is the process which needs to be considered upfront actually as such.
Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully that answered that question. There's another question here which says, we would like to know what is the impact of upgrade / new version of EBS, but also the RPA software. So maybe I can answer that question as well. And I think this is a very, very important question, right? I mean, obviously, there are new versions that come up all the time, and the RPA software keeps increasing as well. So as it goes back to the way that we license as well, right? So, initially we would help companies actually do the implementation, but as part of the implementation, we would also work with the clients as part of the support model as well, right? If it is if it's a SaaS-based model that companies have subscribed, then obviously, we would automatically upgrade them as well, as and when patches come up, as and when the releases come up, as and when the RPA software gets upgraded and things like that. For on-premise ones as well, as part of the support arrangement, we would be releasing those patches as well, and helping them to upgrade to the latest version as well. So as part of our support arrangement, we'll be working very closely with clients on ensuring that as and when new versions of the EBS comes up, we would be ensuring that there are patches to help with seamless integration. Can robots be launched from Oracle ERP? It's a fantastic question. I'll tell you why it's a fantastic question, because this is exactly one of our clients have asked, and we've done exactly that. So this particular client, he said, this is great, right? This is looking great, and you have a good UI and things like that. But can I actually make this seamless? Can you actually launch it from within the Oracle ERP? And the answer to this is absolutely yes. And recently we did that for one of our Oracle EBS customers, on-premise EBS customers, where if you're an Oracle EBS customer, you would know that when you log into Oracle, you have a set of menus and functions, right? And WinBot was one of the functions. So you can click on it, your roles and responsibilities would be very, very similar. It works on single sign-on. So everything takes care as well. So the answer to this is absolutely yes. The robots can be launched from within the Oracle ERP environment as well. The next question is, my business is new to finance automation. Where do I start? As I said, but first of all, finance automation, as the analysis and statistics suggest, it is something that you have to start sooner rather than later. And again, if you're an Oracle ERP client, my suggestion, going back to some of the feedback which our client have given us, is try and start with certain simple processes that gives you maximum value. For example, finance period close and things like that. And one of the things that we have done in WinBot, is especially to make this question an easy answer for you. Because here, if you've already invested in the ERP, we've actually pre-built the solutions for you. We can give you a demo on exactly how it works and work with you to build a business case, to come up with the value propositions, etc. And this, you can actually see them work. As I said, we'll be happy to give you a demo and talk to you some of the areas of solutions that we have pre-built and why we have chosen these, right? So please do connect back with us, and we'll have that conversations with you as well in terms of where do I start. Don't you think Oracle will roll out similar capabilities in future? Well, I think obviously there are functionalities that come up, but you will have to realize that there are still tasks that have to be done by human beings, and this is where it's important to know what to automate, right? If it's functionality that the ERP offers, we shouldn't be choosing that. We should choose certain things like where there will be a human intervention, and this is what I think we are trying to add in the business case of WinBot as well. So maybe Dinesh, you can probably take this question. Audit compliance, especially if you're using SOX?
Yes, Hari. As we spoke about it, the WinBot is completely process driven. It's got segregation of duties. You got separate set of configuration screens based on the users. Access as such is completely driven based on modules. So if you are working in a finance team, but you're only responsible for payables side of it, then the roles can be segregated based on payables as such. So you get a proper segregation of duties and you not get someone. So the dashboard which I logged in and connected to is a super user kind of a dashboard which gives me access to see across all the finance functions. But if you were within a specific team working only over there, then from an audit and SOX compliance perspective, you will get only access to your specific robots actually as such. It's completely secured application as well. It's dedicated environment for a specific client. So it's completely secured environment. Can be on premise as you've spoken about, or can be on a specific dedicated hosted environment.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you. There's one more in terms of return on investment here. Based on your experience, what is the return of investment of the business case for finance automation? So maybe I can try and answer that, and Dinesh, please to add, right? So return of investment is a very good question, right? So if you look at the whole evolution of how automation started, going back to the question, is automation intended to replace finance professionals? The answer is absolutely no, right? The whole value case for automation started with cost savings, and obviously there are cost savings for sure, right? But there are other benefits as well in terms of what automation brings: employee engagement, making sure that you are able to direct your employees to do more strategic activities. So in terms of some of the processes that you saw today, ROI is very, very simple, right? You actually get your ROI quite soon. And in terms of effort that you're talking about, this is not like a massive Oracle implementation. These are processes that you can roll out within 4 weeks period, and the ROI justifies by itself as well. As I said, if we'll be happy to work with yourselves to come up with business cases and ROIs for you. We do that with the clients all the time, advise them on these things.
That's another question, Hari, which has come up. Is the product restricted only to financial processes modules, or is there some possibility to extend to non-Oracle, non-finance modules?
You want to take that?
Yeah, I think as we spoke about as such, the processes currently are based on our experience around finance, and we have pre-packaged and predefined those particular processes to work within robotics. But just give an example, one of our clients implemented the period close assistant, and they quickly were able to see the benefits they got from a period close from a finance perspective. And then they have now decided to use the same platform, same solution to onboard an additional process related to high period as well. It falls within the finance, but completely something which is not related to Oracle for ERP cloud, a different solution. And that particular solution is currently under build. So yes, you could extend the product to different parts of the solution as well.
Yeah. And just to add to that as well, obviously, as you saw, at the moment, we have tried to cover all the 4 different towers of work streams, right? You've got obviously R2R, you've got certain processes in procurement, you've got certain processes in project accounting, PPM, so on and so forth as well. And we keep, this is all, and as you say, this is all evolving based on client needs and challenges that we see. So the product is constantly evolving. As Dinesh said, Hyperion is a good example where we are implementing for one of our customers. But yes, there's possibility to extend to non-finance processes as well. Okay, so there are a couple more questions as well. I think it's probably we've answered this as well. Can we install this on premise if we can't use a SaaS-based model due to security reason? And as I said, yes, and we have done that for some of our questions from our clients as well. So the answer to this is absolutely yes. Next one, can we see a demo of a specific process on our instance? Absolutely, yes, right? And we would be very, very happy to do that. As I said, these processes are pre-built, and especially if you're in a ERP cloud environment, I would see, we would be able to quickly do that as well. So please feel free to, reach out to one of us, and we'll be very, very happy to arrange a demo of a specific process in your Oracle environment. So very much something that we could do. So I think,
We are coming close to the hour as such from a schedule point. You would like to conclude it? Take if you have time to take another one question.
yeah, no, I think I said, we did make a commitment to conclude the webinar a little bit early and give you a few minutes in the diary, right? And I am going to actually do that now. There are a few unanswered questions which we will respond. We'll respond to you on email, right? And as I said, we'll also send you a recording link of the entire webinar. And if you do want to talk to us further and you would like to do a demo, as I said, of our Oracle skilled robots, please do email us at sales@winfosolutions.com. That's sales@winfosolutions.com, and one of our consultants will definitely reach out to you, right? And to conclude this session, we at Winfo, Dinesh and I and everyone at Winfo Solutions, thank you very much for your presence, and I do hope you found this afternoon interesting, and we hope to speak to you soon in the near future as well. So thank you very much and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks.